Okay. So I have these Audio-Technica ATH-M30s. They were my first kind of real full-size set of headphones that I bought a couple years ago for work because I wanted something to listen to while I was at work. And they come with these pads. They're incredibly thin. The opening for the ears is very small. That combined with the clamp force of the headphones themselves, they are just insanely uncomfortable, and I could only wear them for maybe an hour tops at a time. So I started looking into solutions for this, and I came across these Brainwavz Earpads that you can buy on Amazon, and they're generally about $20 a pair. These are a little bit bigger, so they were $25. And these are their angled ear pads. So you can see they kind of have a slope. They're fatter on one side and thinner on the other. They are memory foam, so they're extremely soft. They have a nice, supple, like pleather, I guess, as you can see compared to the size of the stock ear pads here. They are a significant improvement. One thing to note is that they will, because of the size, they can kind of make the bass sound a little bit boomier and maybe kind of bloated and just less detailed, I guess. So that's something to look out for. They do make the non-angled pads, so a pair of those might be better suited for these particular headphones. So just keep that in mind, depending on which headphones you have and you're replacing the pads for. So I guess as far as putting these on, so the way that the ear pads sit on the headphone is there's this groove, and there's kind of a flap back here that it sits in. So you want to push in on the inside of the ear pad and just kind of peel that back and work all the way around to get the ear pads off. Now, before I put these on, real quick, I want to make another note and say that, see if you can see this. I don't know how easy it is to tell, but the stock ear pads have a much thicker, I guess, screen or kind of foam along the back that sits in front of the driver, whereas the Brainwavz, it's very thin. I mean, I can actually, like, this kind of feels a little soft, but this just feels like a incredibly thin sheet. And what that does is allows the highs to come through a lot clearer. So putting these on just by themselves also made the ATH-M30s just unbearably bright and unbearably sibilant. So what I did to remedy that, and if you have these, I guess these are my fiance's makeup pads from what I learned. So I just put these back in here, and that'll help calm down. It sits, right over the driver, and that helps calm down the mids, and it makes it much more pleasing to listen to. You can also, I believe you can purchase foam, or if you have your own foam, you could use it. I might even, if I wanted to destroy these ear pads, I could take this piece of foam out and lay it on there, and that would work just fine. Or that would work too. So now, if you have the, I guess, symmetrical ear pads, it doesn't matter which one goes on which ear. So you can just take one, put it on whatever ear. If you have the angled ear pads, it does matter. And what you want is the fatter part, the thicker part, needs to go towards the back. So here I have left and right. So for the left one, I want the thicker part of the headphone, or the ear pad, to be towards the back of the headphone. And what I do is I take this, I guess, I don't know, whatever, this part, and just kind of start to get it in the slot. Let's see if I can do this. It's a little more difficult with a holding this out in front of me with a mic in front of my face. And you just kind of work around and, you know, using your fingers, hands on the inside, just kind of push it up and get the flap to kind of sit inside the slot there. And use your other hand to kind of hold down what's already been put on. Let's see if I can get, that's kind of folded over there. It doesn't want to go on. Let's try it from this angle. We'll go down to this side. Yeah, so that's working a little better. Now I have already done this a couple of times, actually, because the first time when I first got them, I just put them on by themselves, and I didn't like that. So I tried the adding material to get rid of the highs. Okay, we're getting there. And then once you get most of the way, you can see it's kind of bubbled out a little bit like that, but this is all in here. You can just kind of like give it a little bit of a twist. Maybe smooth it out. See, there it goes. So just kind of rotate it back and forth until it kind of seats in. And it might not sit perfectly all the way around, but you can see it does a pretty good job. So I guess if you're changing them out, you might as well put something on the inside. But if you want to just kind of try a couple different materials, you can go ahead and put the ear pads on first, and then take whatever damping material you're using and just kind of fit it inside the ear cup like that. And that'll work too. And that way you don't have to take the ear pads off every time you want to try a different material. Okay, so I'm going to do a voiceover for this part real quick, because the first time that I filmed this, I forgot to change a setting on my mic and the audio got all messed up. So I'm going to show you another method of putting the ear pads back on, which might be a little bit easier when they're brand new. But first I'm going to start by showing you how to remove the ear pads this time, since they're on there now. So you can see you just place your fingers on the inside and kind of push it up and pull back at the same time. And then once you get a little bit off, you can work it all the way around. So when you first get the pads, that flap on the inside is going to be pretty tight. So it might be easier to kind of take it and place the entire headphone inside of the ear pad. So as you can see here, rather than going for the slot, I'm just going to place the whole thing and wrap the ear pad around the outside of the headphone. And I think depending on what kind of headphone you have, like this might be the only option for putting these on. So you'll have to remember that. And as you can see, you might have to like reach inside and grab the flap a little bit and stretch it out, pull it over. But once you have that, you want to kind of pull back on it until it sits inside that slot a little bit. And you might need to help guide it in. Make sure you don't pull back too far, otherwise it'll just keep going and you'll take the pad back off. So you just work it all the way around. And once you get the whole thing, you'll notice that it's not completely sitting evenly. So once you get the whole thing, just kind of work it in, give it a little twist so that it all gets seated. You can see I've replaced these pads so many times that it's not sitting completely flush anymore. But that's fine. They still work. There's still enough of it in there for there to be a good hold. So there you have it. That's the second method for putting the ear pads back on. So I do I do also want to note that when I first started wearing them, the pads were a little stiff, and they would kind of apply an awkward pressure behind my ears, and it was a little uncomfortable. But so if you buy a pair and you notice that, they do kind of break in and they get softer, and that goes away. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, I mean it's definitely a worthwhile upgrade to kind of make some maybe not so comfortable headphones a bit more comfortable. Anyway, so yeah, Brainwavz Earpads. Thanks for checking out my quick how-to / review video.